Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's session on promoting employee engagement with surveys. We're super excited to help you engage your employees in a meaningful way. My name is Izzy. I am the Marketing and Client Care Coordinator at Lightworks Software, but I also handle a lot of our internal employee communication and wellness. I love working with my coworkers, and I want to ensure that they have the best work environment possible so that they can succeed not only professionally, but also personally. On that note, we're going to go over the ways to use surveys and the performance management process to keep your employees thriving. Before I let Morgan take over, some quick housekeeping. If you have questions at any point during the presentation, feel free to put them in the chat or the question box, and we'll answer them as we go. We are here to help you guys. Also, this webinar is being recorded and the link will be sent out later today, along with a survey with a raffle for a gift card. If you ever want any more information, feel free to browse our YouTube channel to watch our previous webinars or schedule an appointment with us. With that being said, I'm going to turn it on over to Morgan, my awesome coworker. You are up, Morgan.
Thank you so much, Izzy, and thank you everybody for joining us today. As Izzy said, we're excited to have you here. I am an account manager for Lightworks Software. I spend my weeks working with companies going through their needs and requirements and talking about best practices for performance management. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about the benefits of employee engagement, how those benefits can help guide leaders. And I also have some survey sample questions for long-term and new hire employees, and also what the next steps should be after gathering that feedback. So as I mentioned before I get into the survey details, I want to talk a little bit about the benefits of employee engagement. Employee engagement refers to the level of commitment and passion employees have towards their work and organization. Engaged employees are more likely to be innovative and proactive, leading to positive outcomes for both the employee and the organization. Research shows that when employees are engaged, they are more likely to be productive, motivated, and satisfied with their jobs. In fact, organizations with high levels of employee engagement tend to have better financial performance and lower turnover rates. So it's important for organizations to prioritize employee engagement incentives to create a more positive and productive work environment. Next, I want to talk about the role that surveys play when it comes to employee engagement. Surveys can help identify areas of improvement by gathering feedback and opinions from every role within a workforce. This data can then be analyzed to pinpoint specific areas where changes or adjustments can be made to improve overall satisfaction or effectiveness. Surveys can also help promote transparency by providing a platform for individuals to anonymously and honestly share their feedback and opinions. This can help organizations identify areas of improvement and address issues that may have otherwise gone unnoticed. Surveys are a common method for measuring employee progress in various aspects, such as job satisfaction, performance, engagement, and more. Surveys usually consist of a set of questions that aim to gather feedback from employees about their experiences and perceptions in the workplace. The results of these surveys can provide valuable insight for employers to identify areas for improvement and to track progress over time. So now let's talk about what are some of the benefits for leaders when it comes to providing surveys to long-term employees and new hires. The first, and I think the most beneficial, is the ability to gather feedback, suggestions, and concerns from employees, and that's because it's crucial for creating a positive and productive work environment. The insight from surveys allows leaders to address any issues that may be hindering employee performance, and it also shows employees that their opinions are valid and taken seriously. Providing surveys can show investment in the employee's success because they demonstrate an interest in understanding employees' needs and opinions. This investment in the employee's success can also help provide a sense of value and appreciation. So, if leaders are looking to lower turnover rates, they might benefit from showing their current employees that they are invested in their success by learning more about what changes can be made to create a more positive and productive work environment. I think that most of the group here today can agree that having a leader who is willing to listen and invest time in advocating for you and help you to grow is priceless. Leaders who advocate for their employees are working to prioritize their well-being and success. By creating a supportive work environment, these leaders foster trust, promote teamwork, and boost morale. They also recognize the valuable contributions of their employees in their work to ensure that they have the resources and opportunities needed to thrive. Ultimately, leaders who prioritize advocacy build strong, loyal, and dedicated teams that can achieve great things. So now that we've talked through the benefits of surveys, I want to talk about the details of the surveys for long-term employees. I have broken these survey questions and the examples out into different sections. The first section is one that focuses on learning more about what training and resources employees would benefit from. I think it's a very important question for long-term employees is if, do they feel like they have the tools and resources that they need to accomplish the tasks that are assigned to their role or their department? Now, I know it seems like a very simple question to ask if they have the training and resources they need, but the results of that feedback could bring light to delays that have been experienced in that department, or maybe answers to high turnover rates. Without the right tools and resources, employees can struggle to meet deadlines and in turn struggle to meet goals that they're being measured on. So setting goals and expectations for employees and their performance, but not providing the tools needed to achieve those goals and expectations can lead to frustration for both the employee and their manager. Ongoing training and development can help employees stay up to date with industry trends and advancements, which can benefit the company as a whole. So taking the time to learn about what training opportunities employees currently think that they might have can give leaders insight into opportunities that are available for employees that they might not be aware of. Asking long-term employees to share their opinions about how effective training is or what training they think would be beneficial is valuable insight from someone who's invested in their department. Long-term employees tend to be committed to their work, so giving them training that they need to thrive in their role is an investment in their success. Providing the opportunity for long-term employees to share their feedback can help promote a sense of value and appreciation for your team's most loyal members. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and do a poll with our group here today. And the first one is, does your company offer a formal way for employees to request additional resources and training? We'll give everybody a little bit of time to answer that.
It looks like we're about halfway here voted, and a few more seconds for everyone to finish up. All right, perfect. It looks like the majority said yes.
Oh, well, that is awesome to hear. Like I said, having a formal way for employees, whether they're long-term or new hires, to communicate the request for additional resources and training, I really do think is a crucial part of engaging and communicating with employees. So it's wonderful to hear that people feel as though their employees have the ability to request that. Thank you so much, Izzy. All righty. The next section for long-term employee questions is company culture. Long-term employees can have a positive impact on company culture by providing stability, institutional knowledge, and a sense of community. They can also serve as mentors and new role models for newer employees. However, it's important for companies to ensure that long-term employees continue to feel valued and engaged. Company culture has such a huge effect on things like employee morale and retention. I'm sure in the last few years, everyone has heard more and more about creating a work-life balance. And I think that's because some companies have started working from home full time. It's important for employees to set boundaries, practice self-care, and have time to pursue personal interests outside of work. Without those things, even the most committed and productive employees can struggle with burnout. Providing surveys that allow employees to express to their leaders the need for more of a work-life balance can help companies proactively retain their top talent. When long-term employees don't feel as though their work is valued or recognized, it can lead them to find a more fulfilling work environment. Including questions that allow long-term employees to express their concerns or struggles can provide leaders with insight into where changes can be made to provide a more positive company culture that's built on support and balance. Taking the time to ask loyal and invested employees what changes can be made to create a culture where people feel that they are supported and heard can be the key to creating a motivated and committed workforce. All right. The last section I have for long-term employees is communication. Having effective communication in the workplace can help ensure that teams are on the same page and working towards the same goals. It also helps build strong relationships amongst colleagues and trust, which can lead to increased collaboration and productivity. Whether it's the ability for employees to communicate with their leaders or how they feel about the communication they're getting from their leaders, it's important to gather insight into their experiences. Asking long-term employees if they understand the goals and objectives of their department or company can allow leaders to ensure that they're sharing the right information to what could be the next generation of leaders. If long-term employees don't feel as though they have effective communication with their leaders, it can lead to miscommunication and frustration. Ensuring that long-term employees are provided with a formal way to communicate with leaders can promote open and ongoing communication, and that can lead to positive and productive changes. I think we can all agree there is no substitute for good communication. It's the foundation of every healthy dynamic. Having open and transparent communication at work can help employees focus on their tasks and goals instead of trying to figure out what's going on and what their next step should be when changes are made. If there is a lack of communication with long-term employees as a company makes big changes, it can lead to those employees struggling to adapt. Providing surveys to ensure that long-term employees feel as though they are getting the communication and support they need can allow leaders to bring those employees with them as they grow. All right, poll number 2 of 3. Do you feel like your company has the tools it needs to allow employees to communicate with managers? Go ahead and give everybody a little bit of time to answer that.
We appreciate everybody voting once again. Just going to give everybody a few more seconds to get their vote in. All right. The overwhelming majority said yes.
Oh, That's wonderful. Again, as an employee and as somebody who has a manager, I know how important it is for me to have the tools to communicate with them efficiently and effectively. So it's really good to hear that people feel as though they have an effective way to communicate with their managers. I'm sure people who have worked in jobs where they didn't have that really understand how valuable it is to have it. Alrighty, so now on to the new hire survey questions. It can be very beneficial for companies to establish open and ongoing communication with employees from the beginning. This gives new hires the opportunity to share any concerns or struggles that they might encounter as they start their new role. Giving them a formal way to communicate with leaders can take the pressure off trying to communicate the things that they need additional help with as they're onboarding and training. At 30 days, engaging new hires to learn about their experiences so far can give managers the insight into where they can provide additional guidance. This can also help avoid miscommunication and struggles that can lead to new hires feeling like they're not a good fit for the role and leaving. Knowing that they have a way to reach out to their manager for support from the beginning can give new hires the confidence that they need to learn and adapt. I think a great question to ask new hires is how they prefer to receive feedback. This insight can help their manager create a more positive and collaborative dynamic with their employees from the beginning. Not every employee excels at the same things or at the same rate. So managers having insight into where their employees' strengths and areas of weakness are can help managers guide their new hires in a way that's most helpful for them. Knowing what resources might allow them to get the support that they need to learn and grow in their new role is an investment in their success. And I'm sure everyone here knows, as a new hire, it can be intimidating to go to a manager and express the need for support or clarification. So having a formal way to do this can help them communicate and get the answers that they need to make the onboarding and training process as smooth as possible. Now, at 60 days, new hires have a little more context and experience with their new role. So gathering insight into how they're adjusting can help managers ensure they're on the path for success. Allowing new hires to request support and guidance for certain areas can help managers stay away from micromanaging and focus more on the things that are going to help their new employee grow. This is also a great time to start asking about the experience with the onboarding process. This insight can allow leaders to make changes to the process to make it more efficient and effective for the next new hire. And just like long-term employees, gathering feedback on company culture can provide leaders the insight that they need to ensure that new hires are feeling welcomed by their peers. If new hires don't feel as though they're a good culture fit, they should have a formal way to express that to their manager. Everyone isn't always a good fit for a role or for a department. So determining that early on can help leaders make changes to the dynamic that is best for their team and for their employees. New hire surveys are also a great way to start new hires on the path to goal setting. Asking them what they would like to achieve in the coming weeks can allow new hires to invest in their new role and provide focus and accountability. Investing time into communicating and understanding new hires really can help advocate for their success, and it gives them the tools and information that they need to grow. All right, on to 90-day new hires. So this is actually going to finish up our new hire section. Supporting new hires through the training and onboarding process can have a big impact on their experience. Ensuring that they leave the new hire phase and feel as though that support is going to continue can be crucial for their development going forward. If they are not comfortable with the rules and responsibilities as they enter their 90 days, then there might need to be a conversation about the training process with their managers, in order to assess where more information and training might be needed when implementing training and onboarding for new hires. Another important thing to determine with new hires as they enter their 90 days is if they understand how their performance is being measured. Without that context, it can lead to frustration and disappointment when their annual review rolls around. It's also good to include a question that makes new hires review their accomplishments so far. This can help new employees feel as though that they're on the right path and in the right place. More than anything, I'd like to remind everyone to ask their leaders and managers what they needed from their managers when they started a new job. We have all been there and needed support and clarification as we took on a new role. And I think it's really important to keep that in mind for leaders as they engage with new hires. Alrighty. One of the best ways that you can advocate for managers is providing them with feedback from their employees. Employee feedback can allow managers to make more informed decisions on how to better lead and support their team. Surveys can provide insight into things like employee engagement and morale, which can help managers make changes based on struggles and concerns that are directly affecting their team. It's important for managers to have insight into what their employees need to make them more efficient and effective. Assessing things like training and development needs should be done annually in an effort to grow employees professionally. Without the insight of employee feedback, managers can struggle to make changes that have direct and positive effects on an employee's day-to-day struggles, leading to a dynamic that isn't supported by communication or collaboration. Giving employees a formal way to communicate their concerns and suggestions can give managers the insight that they need to be proactive and be a productive leader. All right, our last and final poll here. Do you feel like the managers in your company have the insight needed to advocate for their employees? We'll give everybody a little bit of time to answer that.
It looks like we have about half of everybody voted here. I'll give it a few more seconds to let everyone else get their votes in. The majority actually said no this time.
No, okay, well, we just reviewed as far as long-term employees and new hires, how important it is for employees to have insight so they can advocate for their employees. I'm sure everybody knows your manager is kind of the person who's going to be able to help you and going to be able to make those changes. But if they aren't aware of any struggles or concerns, if they don't have that insight, it's hard for them to advocate for employees in the right way. And having that information does help them advocate and make changes that are going to directly affect an employee's day-to-day. So I would say, just for me, in past jobs, having a manager who had insight to what my struggles were so they could advocate for me made such a huge difference when it came to my confidence or even my want to go to work, because I knew there was going to be somebody there who knew what I was struggling with and who might not have been able to make immediate changes, but somebody who was there to advocate for me and kind of help me through those concerns and struggles. So again, manager insight is really what is going to help advocate and make those direct effects for employees, and really are the people that are doing the most or having the most effect as far as retaining employees. So thank you, Izzy. All right, as we wrap things up here today, I want to talk about one of the most important steps to receiving employee feedback, and that is taking action. It's crucial to acknowledge or make changes when employees provide feedback. If leaders request feedback but don't do anything with the results, employees can lose faith in the process and hesitate to share feedback going forward. A great first step once leaders receive feedback is analyzing the results for common themes Addressing or acknowledging common themes can have a huge impact on employee morale and interest in sharing their feedback, as they can see it's been taken seriously as a way to advocate for them. It's also important to analyze the feedback for pressing issues to help leaders prioritize their next steps as they're making changes. Once the results have been analyzed and the issues or requests prioritized, it can be very beneficial to communicate the action plan to the employees to let them know that their feedback is valued and that there are next steps put in place to make changes based on their feedback. Once changes are made or acknowledged for their concerns, leaders should always follow up and monitor the situation or process they receive feedback on. This will also convey to employees that it's not just a quick fix, but something leaders want to improve and maintain. There is no substitution for taking action with feedback. It's crucial to the employee and manager dynamic that feedback isn't collected and then forgotten about. Supporting and advocating for employees requires action. Make sure your leaders are getting the feedback that they need to take action in the right direction. All right, as we finish up here today, I want to talk about some of the other tools in Lightwork Performance Management that provide engagement and allow for open and ongoing communication throughout the review cycle. Lightwork goals allow employees and their managers to include details with each goal, helping to set clear expectations and promote focus and accountability. And I do want to mention, and I know Izzy mentioned this in the beginning, you can actually find our past webinars on our YouTube channel that review best practices for goal setting and other performance management processes. We talk a little bit about avoiding common rating errors, how to guide managers with continuous performance management. So there are some good, just another, quick 30-minute but informative webinars that we have on our YouTube channel that kind of go through the review process as far as, planning performance management, the different tools and kind of the insight that helps there. Lightwork Performance supports surveys, and as we covered here today, that is a great tool to engage long-term and new hire employees. Lightwork journals allow leaders to document employee performance throughout the review cycle, resulting in more accurate ratings and results from the performance management process. Lightwork's flexible and user-friendly platform makes it easy for employees and their managers to access and participate in annual reviews. Now, if you'd like to learn more about the tools and Lightwork Performance, you'll find a link in the email following this presentation, or if you'd like, you can visit us at lightworksoftware.com. With that being said, thank you guys so much for joining the Lightwork team today to learn more about engaging employees with surveys. We hope you join us again every month to learn more about best practices and performance management. As I mentioned, please feel free to reach out to us with any questions. We're happy to help. Again, lightworksoftware.com, or there will be a link in the email following this presentation. As Izzy mentioned, it will be recorded, or this was recorded. It will be sent to you and will be available on our YouTube channel as well. With that being said, we're here to answer any questions about best practices for performance management. We're always here to help. And with that being said, I hope everybody has a wonderful rest of their week. Thank you so much, everybody.